Welcome everyone, and we are going to talk on the topic of data security and network DLP. So today with my colleague Sophie, and she's expert in that area. And we have a Daniel, our technical expert with us. Sophie, welcome for
Hi,
this session
Kali.
together.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. I'm looking forward to present Network DLP today.
Sure. And let's start then, because we have topics to discuss. So first, I just want to set up the tone of the session that inside, let's say, so let me share my screen first. 1 minute. So hope you can see the screen. So we are going to talk on Network DLP with Microsoft Purview. That is a new functionality, and there is a gap. So we will talk on the first part, that why it's so important. Sophie, I would like to ask you that you can share your experience based on that, how you see this value add, and then we can talk on this topic.
Yeah. So the first thing I have to say is that data loss prevention is never 100% secure. So there are always like little gaps where it would also be possible to leak data, even if we have good data loss prevention in place. And one of these gaps is the network layer, which was just not covered before and is covered now. Even if it's not fully covered, but we will come to that later. And here, what you're seeing is what you have to have when it's about data loss prevention at all. So data loss prevention works with sensitive information types, sensitivity labels, exact data match, and trainable classifiers. So for you, this means if you don't have these kind of labels or information types in place, so you're like blank at the moment, you should not buy the network solution because it cannot work for you. So you have to have this in place first. I'm so sorry. And that was a big fail, but now it's muted. So you have this to have in place before you can start. And then the solutions have been endpoint data loss prevention. So you go on the client device that you have to have onboarded, and then you can see what happens there and can make rules for it. You can even go in Edge and make your data loss prevention policies in the browser, or go through Defender for Cloud Apps. And here we are like at the most basic layer, just in Office 365. But what was not covered before was the network layer.
Yeah, because in endpoint DLP, you can participate into at local machine, especially that what you are going to upload, download, that specific to your machine. And then Edge browser also brings up this, and then Defender for Cloud Apps is kind of a CASB security broker that you can define your policies, that for SaaS applications for sure. But the big gap was that how your corporate data and protected data will handled in, for example, mode of sharing data for external and stuff like that, because that's also very, very sensitive area, because people are using different kind of methods, APIs or scripting or CLI tools. Those tools cannot follow specifically these existing protection measures. There are some gaps that you can violate it with unsanctioned applications, with some other browsers, stuff like that. So yeah, network DLP is actually, it's not a kind of another solution. It's an inline DLP process that works hand in hand with endpoint DLP, your edge. So that is actually a new addition where it inspects the traffic through tunneling. So that is the concept behind, because it's not another solution. But the big part is that it follow and inherit all sensitivity labels and sits, for example, exact data match enable classifier as is, so you don't need to worry much about that. Yeah. So here you wanna talk, Sophie?
Yes, of course. This slide is where does it make sense to use Network DLP? What is covered through solutions which might be more cheaper, and for what do we need the network layer DLP? And one thing is, for example, ChatGPT and Opera. So ChatGPT can be covered through endpoint DLP as long as we have a managed device and we are using the right browser, which is covered. But browsers like Opera or many other browsers, all browsers except Edge, maybe Chrome and Firefox are not covered. So for this, we need network DLP. Then we have the desktop apps. For nearly all of them, we need network DLP because they are not covered through the browser solution because they are on your device in a different way. Yeah, it's for ChatGPT or Gemini, does not make any difference. And for Dropbox Desktop Sync, it's different because there we can use endpoint DLP and we do not need network DLP. So we can insert all the uploading services like Dropbox or others in the endpoint DLP settings and just cover it through that as long as we know which exactly we want to cover. Yeah, and if we use it in Edge, it can be covered through the Edge solution. But when we talk about other applications like SAP or other enterprise solutions that you're using with your HR system or something like that, you will need network DLP. Yeah. And for browser web forms, it's the same.
Yeah. So the key message here is that each and every control having a different exfiltration path. So network DLP actually gives you the power, or let's say the exposure, not exposure, like a way to control that how you can go beyond your applications and the desktop applications where your existing protection is not enough. So let's move forward with the next one. So here, this is actually the typical path that how inline inspection through SASE. SASE is security service edge, for example. So secure access, and that is actually start with the traffic source, that where traffic is originate, for example, client machine, and then it comes in the middle SASE platform. Let's say we have a Zscaler, we have a Microsoft SASE solution that will touch that, and there traffic is tunneled. Traffic is not coming via internet here. So then we do have in Microsoft, especially network DLP concept is that your network level traffic inspection through agent, GSA client, and Purview is talking to each other, and Purview is actually pushing classification, and then that based on that classification, actually policies take part and they take the action. Either you want to start with audit and then you warn, and then, for example, block, and you can create the exceptions. So this is actually the network and data security combination that works inline inspection. So there is a two ways of deploying the DLP. You can take it without inline and with inline. So inline is actually enhancement that you can protect the traffic. So if traffic is not steered, there is no network DLP is working. So it's a typical solution for ZTNA, zero trust for network access, for example. So that is actually the mechanism behind, because you need to start your traffic putting into gateway, and then gateway having connection with data security layers or classification labels or configurations that will inherit it, and then policy take the action.
So what you're saying is like from step 1 to step 3, it's network DLP, and beginning after this layer of the network inspection, it's just data loss prevention. So you need the same SIDS labels and EDM that you need for all the other policies as well.
Yes. Yeah.
And the actions are also the same. So you can just enhance your DLP setup with this solution.
Yeah, agreed. So now we move to the next part. So here is actually, I bring it up one use case. For example, if I am sitting and I am working, I'm doing the prompting, for example, uploading files and making API calls, then it detects actually AI destination, that where this traffic is going. So it's not kind of a browser level, it's not kind of a machine level, it's kind of an endpoint level destinations, for example. And there actually GSA client network traffic capturing works, and it identifies that how this traffic is handled. And then Purview is combining with that, and then it will say that, okay, if this is allow or block or audit, and then that logs, alerts, or incident or investigation or backend monitoring system will work, and you will get clear data that who is doing what exactly inside your environment. So this is kind of a couple of layers, like a source, then application, what you are using inside desktop or different mechanism through API keys, and then your GSA or SASE solution security service edge comes into the picture, and then Microsoft apply on top of that, especially Purview. And there, then you can detect even shadow AI inventory also, because sometimes you cannot detect that which modules we are using in our software engineering, for example.
And
so
one thing, Khalid, what I was thinking about right now is if I am the user and I want to paste text from the new contract into ChatGPT and I'm using Edge, then probably I will be blocked doing it because we have web DLP policies on. And then I think, yeah, okay, then I will use Opera. And in the moment, in the most cases, I will come through it. So I can do it and just follow my procedure because I took a way around. And Network DLP is covering this way around so that I will be blocked anywhere because it's on the network layer.
Yep. So then the next part that there how this whole works, because I bring up another example, like Zscaler is very popular platform and market leader in zero trust especially, and they do have a DLP solution. So the flow is same, that user or the device, for example, and then that traffic is tunneled or sourced from your GSA client to security service edge, and then security service edge actually connected with your DLP engine, and then you can take the action. So what is actually some gaps there is, for example, other solutions are not going into that because Zscaler is independent vendor, they are market leader, but they are, when we are looking into specifically into Microsoft workload, they provide connector like a client, and then they have their internet access or exchange, for example, where the data is, let's say, TLS inspection is happening, and then they do have a DLP engine as well, and then there they define the processes. But the challenge is that if you have a tons of data sitting into Microsoft 365 that following your Purview process, and then other side you have other DLP engine, so that integration is especially not working very well, and it's not kind of a seamless solution. It's applicable for non-SAP applications, non-Microsoft applications, or in especially on-prem or some hybrid landscapes. But in case, especially in Microsoft stack or Microsoft native applications, for example, Microsoft 365, or even there, Microsoft having especially cutting edge advantage, as per my understanding, because Microsoft having Entra, endpoint security, Intune device management, and your seamless Purview data security stack is inherited into Network DLP. So yeah.
Correct me when I'm wrong, but what I got now was that when I set up my DLP policies in M365, like Purview, And then I can enhance them to the network layer. If I set them up in Purview for some data there and in Zscaler for other data in another place, then I do not have one solution for all, and I do not have the whole control. What is blocked where and which policies do I have?
Yeah. That's actually because they have a different engine, different classification. They do kind of a certificate-based TLS inspection for traffic management. That's perfectly fine, but again, it depends. So there is other solutions as well. Sierra is also there. I did not put into their competitors, but the point is that Microsoft covering identity-driven RBAC-based access, and some are doing just data-driven approach. Some are just doing a network-based, for example, in Zscaler case. So there is a different use cases. I'm not saying that good or whatever. It's all about that how you want to keep it uniform solution, unified approach that you can inherit everything in your both landscapes, Microsoft or non-Microsoft or on-premise, wherever. Okay, so as I mentioned, especially in the customers who are working with the Microsoft stack already, it's easier to extend that. Based on my assessment, our working principles, we configured and deployed it with Microsoft 365 Business Premium and plus some licenses, specifically P1, P2, and it works well. But on the other end, in the Zscaler, you need to connect your Active Directory. You need to connect several connections you need to establish to send that data. But that's still there are the limitations. So that would be my take on this slide. Okay, so I think this is architecture. So I will walk you through, and then we can go for the small demo, and that demo will present, because this is end-to-end architecture, that how network DLP actually working. So we might use different websites or the data sets. The first thing first, that there is three kind of areas we have to look. First, that we need to define the user scope, which user we want to target, which devices they are using. Conditional access do the evaluation based on authentication, multi-factor authentication, and traffic is rerouted, and then that traffic is steered to security service edge, let's say gateway, and there we define file policies, TLS inspection, and if we do download the data, copy the data, and upload into any via API or through ChatGPT, then network inspection, especially Purview Network DLP, do the content inspection, and then DLP engine is working there because we connected with the Purview, and based on that, you can define your actions, and that data you can send it to Sentinel as well. So that's actually the whole path. So I would like to ask Danielle, please, can you share your screen, and we can have a look at that what are, let's say, technical steps we need to do. Keep it short, Danielle, 5 minutes, for example.
All right. Please tell me if my screen is showing.
Okay. I'm stop sharing, and you can share the screen, please.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Khalid, for the rundown. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's coming.
All right. So the first things first, we have to have a device that is Entra joined. We cannot use the GSA client in any device that is not Entra joined or Entra registered. So you have to have another license other than the GSA license for Entra ID. So that license is Internet Access Profile. So you might have to check that in your licenses. So once you have that, you have to just turn it on and scope it to the users you want the GSA client to be installed on. The devices that you want the GSA client to be installed in, use only those users. For instance, I have these users, so you can also change that. Now, so this is my user and the group
I'm
that I
sorry,
have created.
Daniel.
Yes, please.
One question to the last point. does this mean that it's just usable for managed devices, or does it mean another thing?
It means that you have to have a managed device, yes.
Okay.
For
I can
instance,
clarify this. Managed devices not via MDM, via Azure Active Directory, or let's say Microsoft Entra joint devices.
exactly. So yeah. So afterwards, you just have to turn it on, and in any device that is managed. And how would you make sure that it is managed? For instance, I have this managed device with me here. So if I go into the settings, it's a desktop as a service device. So if I go to work, access work or school settings, you have an option to connect your work account here. So the Entra ID that is connected to your account is managing this whole device right now. So Microtex's Entra ID. So that's
Yep.
how, yeah, these are the devices that you can install the GSA client on. So afterwards, one second. So afterwards, you just have to install the GSA client. Under connection. And once the GSA client is set up, you just have to download this into the device and it will look like this. So let me just show you one second. So afterwards, its installation process is completed. It will look like this. Make sure that the internet option is connected. So this is basically the secure service edge, the internet access profile in the, yeah. This is basically the
So
internet. Yeah.
yeah, so I just want to add, Sophie, that we've been discussing that will come next to us. That this is not applicable for external devices not managed by Azure Active Directory or Microsoft Entra ID. Right now, it's not there, but especially if you want to have a traffic, uh, want to get achieved through this network DLP, when you sign in with GSA client, it will ask you to enroll. If you don't want to enroll, this is not yet there, specifically for Microsoft 365 workloads. And it is applicable for private access. That is another advanced use case. We can come later on that part.
Yes.
But it's giving error. For example, if you don't want to enroll your device to Azure Active Directory or Microsoft Entra or Intune to another company as an external, as a contractor, this agent will get fail. It will not let you in because it's a mandatory for now, and Microsoft is improving into that area.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khalid. So one last thing with the GSA client, when you have installed it, make sure in troubleshooting, you run this advanced diagnostic tools, because most of the times it's not showing you any errors in the forefront, but there are many errors behind the scenes which you can check here. So right inside this, you can go to health check and it will run all the checks. Make sure it's all checks are successful. For me, when I was installing in this device, it was an error in the IPv4 preferred. It was disabled. So make sure that this is all enabled and all of these are true. If you don't understand any of these errors, you just have to go in here, learn more about the health check. Just Control F, IPv4. For instance, it was the error that I was getting. So you just follow these. You just have to add this into the registry, and it will fix itself. You just have to restart the device.
Yeah.
So that
Daniel,
was
can
just
you please move into the Entra and
yes. Okay.
share us that where to do the configurations for file policy and TLS inspection?
Yes, sure. So okay. So in Entra, under GSA, you have all these policies that you can configure, and the main policy that you just have to configure for GSA is for network DLP is this TLS inspection policy. Now let me go through this. TLS inspection, basically this what it does is it makes sure that the traffic that is going in and out of your GSA device is being encrypted and re-encrypted so that the purview can see what's happening, what is inside of it. So for that, you need a certificate. So after creating a policy, it's a basic policy. You don't have to add any thing extra to it. You just have to create a basic policy. If I go to rules, one second. Okay, if I go to rules, one second. Let's policy. You don't have to add any rules like this. You just leave it as it is and just create it. or create a basic rule if it comes to it. Just you have to create a basic rule. You don't have to add any FQDN and destination. So I just had made it beforehand. Once again, this is the policy. Now, the only thing important right here is you must create a certificate. So after creating a certificate, you will have a CSR file to make sure that that CSR file, let me show you in a minute. So let me create this certificate, this test cert.
Daniel, I think it will take a long time. So let's focus on the policies. Certificate is needed, Sophie. That would be from your certificate authority, because this certificate will help to encrypt, decrypt traffic over the internet route. Because something is protected, then this DLP stuff needs to look what's inside the content, and this is applicable for any SASE vendor, for example, security service edge, for example, any Zscaler is doing the same thing. So that certificate is required.
Yes.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Khalid. So let's move on from here. So just as a reference, if you want to make the certificate, this is a very good guide from Microsoft itself. You just have to follow this and you'll get the certificate and how to install it. So, all right. So after you have all these policies set up, you can also make content policies. Content policies allow you to manage the files and the content that is downloaded or being uploaded. So one second.
Funny because it's always slow, and if you have a demo, it's even slower than normally.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
1 second.
No worries. So I think.
All right. So this is okay. This is an example of a content policy. You can set rules like file upload and download. 1 second.
Shall I run down? But Daniel, might you can go into your machine and show us the behavior. That's the most important part. Please.
Yes. Okay. So I created the policies for Claude, and I also created policy for DLP. So let me show you what actually happens when they are working.
Yeah, that's important as an outcome.
Right. So if I go to Claude, I have made a policy that I was going to show you, the DLP, the content policy that I was going to show you. It has a rule set that doesn't allow with Purview, with the use of Purview, it doesn't allow uploading files to Claude that have the underlying SSNs,
sensitive data.
Yeah, sensitive data, SSNs, API keys or whatnot. So I've already installed these files, and if I try to upload, for instance, such as it will tell me it was not able to upload. But if I just type something else, for instance, if I type what is Entra ID, for instance, it will not stop this. So that's an example of network level DLP. So it is checking the files and managing the data inside of it and seeing that it does not have any sensitive data. If it is having, it will block it.
Daniel, one question from my side. What is missing for me in the solution in the moment is a pop-up which tells me why it is blocked, because now I could think, it's just maybe my computer broke down, or I don't know what's not working. So is it possible to configure policy tips also here, or is it one limitation in the moment from Network DLP?
It's a limitation. It's a limitation for now.
Yes.
Because it's blocking the data. So that's actually, I think, a real example. Most of the time, people using ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and other areas, and they just upload your corporate data into that. And if that is not targeted, definitely it's a problem. But I understand what you mean that related to this policy tips on the top of your data. But that might be will come in future, and because these are not Microsoft applications. These are third-party applications. So still, I think we need to bear it with. Yeah.
So the tips would have to travel to the third-party application, but I'm sure they will in the future.
Yeah.
Exactly. So another thing that I blocked using the DLP network DLP is Mega Up. This website is used for storage, but it is very insecure. So I also blocked this, and it's showing here the thing you were talking about, Sophie, that it's not showing a notification. This is basically what we have right now for GSA and DLP using Purview. This is the best we can get from Microsoft right now. So.
Yes.
And similarly, if I go to a site for DLP testing, it also blocks it because it in the first page, it has all the sensitive information in it. So that's why it's blocking this. Now, if we have time, we can go to Purview and I can show you what
No, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you, Daniel, because we need to jump to a few other slides.
All right.
So Sophie, I can jump, and then I think we can go into this. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so it's coming. So let me open this up. So now this was actually the flow that where we are following and we are working on, for example. And for me, it's important that we need to discuss further personas, for example, by user type. So Sophie, that is actually very important for us that we have to look that how this whole story works actually, because we might have different kind of employees, we might have kind of contractors. So would you like to talk on that part, because that was your question?
Yeah, that was very important for me, because just adding network layer DLP protection means a lot of costs that can come to you if you don't scope the policies. So I was asking myself, when do I really need these policies? And if I have low risk external users, then probably I don't want to give them a managed device and scope what they upload in Opera or whatever. Probably they have just access to internal or general files and they cannot do any harm. So I will leave them out. And my own employees probably have very good managed devices where a lot is covered, and probably some of them also work just with general information. So do I need it for them? Maybe not. But I have like VIP users in my own company and high privilege contractors where I specifically for the high privilege contractors, it's very important for my company that they don't go with the files anywhere, or probably they don't mean it in a mean way and they just want ChatGPT to help to define the new strategy or something, but I don't want this. I don't want data leakage. And just for these scoped user groups, I would strongly recommend to use network layer DLP to have covered the most which is possible in the moment. So to be sincere, it is in the moment, it is never possible to cover everything and every use case. But if you use network layer DLP for these VIP users, which I call them, then you have the securest environment for your data protection.
Yeah. But in the same time, because it's not about employees also, because as we discussed now, because endpoint DLP and network DLP actually run side by side, and it's a concept of defense in depth. So for sure, some high privilege users sitting outside, some high privilege applications, highly critical applications sitting inside of our environment. So that's also very important factor we need to really look that how employees are doing. Even their devices are fully managed, trusted, but what they're doing with AI, shadow AI is a big problem, especially as Daniel make this. And if we have a kind of a low risk external users, they just want to use email or exchange stuff like that. It's easy with the browser based DLP and Microsoft 365. There no GSA client is required, because less complex, more robust system.
One last question to this slide, because here under high privilege contractors, we wrote unmanaged, high impact. But this unmanaged is not like that their devices are unmanaged, or did I get something wrong before?
No, actually, that was a testing. Definitely, I would like to share here because personal devices cannot enroll without enrollment into managed devices. So unfortunately, this is a limitation. For example, if I am working as a contractor, I use my private laptop and then connect to VDI infrastructure or stuff like that. But I still copy paste the data between that. So there also, I would recommend this GSA client will be installed on your managed devices, not on your personal devices, because if you extract through API, through any CLI stuff, it's still secure. But I hope Microsoft will introduce more areas to allow via GSA client, because it's available for private access, but it's not available for Microsoft 365 and internet access.
Okay,
So yeah,
we
this
have
is a limitation.
two important limitations. The device has to be managed, and it is not working for B2B guest users.
Yeah.
So I think they will work on it, and it will be possible in someday, because for me it is like the hottest use case. But in the moment, these are limitations.
Yeah, I tried it. We tried it and setting up this, but it's not working because without enrollment, it's not working. And no contractor wants to enroll their device to their other organization because it's a, not a behavior. But still, as an AIB sitting inside our managed devices, our VDIs, infrastructure, that definitely we need to sanction applications that you can only allow application like firewall, otherwise block all. That case is not working. That will stop your productivity, for example. So definitely people having many ways to find other things. So let me go on. So this is your topic.
Yeah, this is about covering GDPR and regulatory risks. And one of the hot topics is unmanaged transfer of personal data to like ChatGPT or something else. And yeah, it was like rising in the in the era of AI, because now it is like not seldom that we want to write a business contract or something else, and we just type it directly into ChatGPT, and that's the place where data leaks, or Gemini or other AI. One other use case is that I have business stuff that I want to work at home. It's like shadow AI, shadow IT, I'm so sorry. And then I use my personal Dropbox to transfer the data to myself, even if I'm not allowed. And we want to prevent that. Or public web forms where I just type it in and it's gone. Yeah.
Okay. So here again, this is something we need to really clear because there is DLP, network DLP is specially metered. We enabled and we connected to this with Azure subscription because this global service edge, for example, security service edge sits inside inside Azure, for example. So it's not sitting in Microsoft 365. So that actually we need to be very careful and clear and do kind of a sizing. This is just example pricing. Check Microsoft blogs or the data. We can share that also and on our profiles, because there is a one requirement is for dedicated DLP stuff you need to have in Microsoft 365 and Entra licenses. On the other side, if you want to use this tunneling and a GSA client connect with the security service edge, that you need to pay on the top of that, for example.
Yeah, and especially because it costs more, it is very important that you cover the basics before you start just licensing and to turn it on. Because if you don't have any sits defined in your tenant and no labels, it will not help you. So first things first, and then for scoped user groups, it is sensible to use it.
Yeah, and especially you need to have also looked at how these inspection, because TLS inspection is very expensive, especially even in the next gen firewalls. So it works like that. So every time you have encryption, decryption, so definitely there is a compute cost behind. We are not kind of a Microsoft engineer, but keep in mind that the network DLP is not bundled in E5. It's not a license. It's a consumption-based model. So whenever how much traffic you will pass through that, like a request with GSA client is covered in your Entra license P1, P2, but inspection of those file content and detection, stuff like that, that everything goes via that. With Purview, that will be metered pay-as-you-go model. It's not a kind of a part of your E3 or E5 licenses. So now we have to look again your point that where we are, where to start, and how we get through. So I would like to hear from your side, because this is very organizational question, the topic that it's fit for you or not.
Yeah, so that's right. The organization has to answer this question for itself. And yeah, you can use it if you have major purview classification and Microsoft information protection, which means you have at least sensitivity labels, but they will just cover the upload of files and not the content of the files. So better would it be that you have strong SIDs defined in your tenant before you start here. Then you can ask yourself if you have these use cases where you need it, or if you can cover your use cases through the solutions that are covered with E5. And yeah, if AI is used in your environment, I think it probably is, even if you don't think so. And at least, yeah, it does not work without an existing SASE deployment. So if you already have Zscaler, maybe you can build it on it. But if you don't have anything of this, it would be better like to start at the beginning.
Yep. Because these are a few questions, as mentioned, that if something is really restricted, but it's not fits all, it depends how you design use cases and how you want to develop, because your data state is so big. And if you did not have kind of Microsoft information protection or Purview classification at maturity level, if you're just starting, start it well, keep it maturity, and then define. You have a internals, externals, contractors, what they want to use, what they don't want to use, and enforce those policies with existing protection measures like DLP for Edge, for example, endpoint DLP and Microsoft 365 DLP as well. And if something is not working, especially in the AI use cases at network level, then definitely that it makes sense. But define the scope of the users. Might be you have a 50,000 users, you don't need everyone this whole solution package, because it's as you go. So now that is our last slide. So this is, I would say, we can share, Sophie, because it actually works network DLP hand in hand, defense in depth. It's one additional layer to protect network-based data exfiltration. That's actually the clarity. And then over to you now for classification.
It was what I said before. So you have to have a major level of classification of your data. So if you, for example, just have sensitivity labels, it will just cover the file upload. And that's not enough probably for the costs that will arise for you. So first, be sure that you know the use cases and that your classification is good.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, this is DLP is not network DLP, especially is not a new solution. It's actually extension or defense in depth mechanism. So you have other three type of DLPs, especially for Office 365, for Edge, for endpoint, and you can combine it with, because there was a gap to monitor traffic over HTTPS, HTTP, and especially TLS level inspection that is not possible with the Edge browser or other protections are available. And the fourth part is traffic should be routed or traversed through supported SASE platform. There is some options that you can connect Zscaler or some other solutions part of this, but again, you want to overcomplicate or you want to keep it unified solution. So that's your choice. So we will not say yeah, something is right or wrong, but we would prefer that as an expert, our advice would be keep it your data security unified, simple, and harmonized. And last part, over to you.
Yeah, if you, I always say, if your employees use AI, they surely do. So it is important if you have browsers that are not covered through the DLP policy that you already have, and you know that your users probably will type stuff into ChatGPT, etc., that should not be there. So this is the strongest use case and the strongest driver of the solution, that in the era of AI, we have like way more ways for data to get leaked. And one of them is AI.
Yeah, so I would say positioning network DLP, that the conclusion of this session. And network DLP is a one-layer part of data security architecture. It's not a feature. So Sophie is expert in Purview. I'm an expert in end-to-end Microsoft cybersecurity and specialized in Purview. So thank you very much for the time, and we will try to bring another podcast or session that will dedicatedly cover AI use case, AI zero trust, for example. There we can go deeper into ChatGPT or application and even Copilot. That's also very important part, because that definitely we need to cover that how AI first, AI fit area aligned with network DLP, because other parts you can cover with existing protection solutions, with existing licenses, and especially AI zero trust and AI security. You need network DLP, otherwise you cannot block data exfiltration part of your systems, even it's a high impact or ERP data or whatever. So this is kind of a loophole in overall construct of AI. You want to say something, Sophie, on that, and then we can conclude.
Yeah, there's nothing to add from my side. It's exactly right, and I'm looking forward to our next sessions.
Thank you very much, guys. We will post this into the LinkedIn profiles after rendering it and make this recording available to everyone. So see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you too. See you.
Bye. Bye.